What is organic? We heard many times organic. What is organic? Maybe you may think organic is from organic food, the food which is produced by no pesticide, no fertilizer kind of things. Well, that's one kind of extended the version of the utility of organic. The meaning of organic means it has its own spontaneous structure, implying that this is from life. So organic means this is related to life. Then what is opposite word of organic? Maybe no organic? Well, in English, we call non-organic is inorganic. So organic is related to the life. Inorganic is outside of life. Now let's think about the organic material. Well, you may heard that organic material it should be composed of carbon. Then carbon itself is enough. Carbon itself, either it can be coal or diamond, and those are organic materials. No, we don't call it organic materials. How about we add oxygen to the carbon? Well, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, those kind of material, do we call organic? No. So that means oxygen is not essential, the element for making organic. Well, how about the hydrogen? Yes, at least to make organic materials, it's a carbon-centered, but at the same time, that requires hydrogen together. So carbon hydrogen-based molecule is what we call organic materials. Among second row elements, which is simplest elements in the periodic table except hydrogen and helium, why carbon was chosen as the center of life molecules? Well, oxygen can form only 2 bonds, nitrogen 3 bonds, carbon can form 4 bonds. Also, it can make the bond between carbon and it can grow. So it can make a quite long structure. Also, it can make branch structures and another branch. So carbon-based materials can generate quite complicated molecules. I just draw the carbon structure on planar structure, but actually the carbon forms the tetrahedral structure. And to make the drawing simpler, we can simply remove those carbon symbols like this. And left side, the complicated structure, we can simplify in this kind of forms. If you think about the carbon itself, like a coal is not organic molecules. But how about crude oil? Crude oil is carbon and hydrogen containing hydrocarbon structure, and this is a perfectly organic molecules. Very interestingly, coal is inorganic and oil is organic, and the molecular structure can be simplified in this format. Now, let's think about the different organic molecule structure. Here is a 2-carbon simple ethane molecule. We can change one hydrogen with a hydroxyl group. Now, this hydroxyl group make this molecule alcohol. Now, if you change 2 hydrogen with a CO double bond, now we can see this carboxylate group can be formed. The other side, we can change the hydrogen with the amino group. Now, this whole structure is we can call amino acid. So this is the simplest amino acid molecule, so-called glycine. If you change the side group with the methyl group, now this is an alanine structure. If you add alcohol there, this is a serine, the amino acid. We can further change this oxygen with a sulfur, now this becomes cysteine. So this is how we can expand the diversity of organic molecules, and this is the basic structure of amino acid. Carbon backbone, even we can make this kind of a cyclic structure, and carbon can be replaced with oxygen, carbon chain can be extended, and all carbons can be replaced by this kind of hydroxyl groups. So this is a highly hydroxylated the polyhydrocarbon. This is what we call carbohydrate structures. One more case. This is ribose structure. It's similar to glucose, but the molecule has 5 carbon. So this is a 5 carbon carbohydrate structure. If you change one position hydroxyl group with this kind of alkaloid molecule, and this is so-called base, and the other position can be changed with a phosphate group. Now this is the building block of RNA, the kind of the nucleic acid. Let's think about most abundant elements on Earth's crust. What do you think the most abundant elements? Well, interestingly, number one is oxygen. It's occupying 46%. It's a lot. Where do you think this oxygen exists? In seawater? Well, the seawater is very, very thin, covering the Earth's surface. That volume is not significant enough. Well, second abundant element is silicon. Now, can you get an idea? What is the most abundant form of silicon oxygen complex? Yeah, that's a silicon oxide. That's a stones. So Earth's crust is composed of a lot of the stones, and then the major components of them are silicon and oxygen. In comparison, how much percent do you think the carbon? It's only 0.2%. Interestingly, carbon amount is only 1% of silicon. Silicon also can form 4 bonds. Carbon can form 4 bonds. Why the life forms selected carbon as the life material, not silicon? If they chose silicon as the life material, they have 100 times more chances to get life materials. Why is it? Well, one possible explanation is maybe the bond strengths between carbon and silicon. Silicon bond is 54 kilocalorie per mole, and carbon is 80 kilocalorie per mole. Well, seems like carbon is a little more stable. So this energy implies that if you provide 80 kilocalorie per mole, you can break this bond. But why this is important? So let's compare that with energy of visible light. Visible light is starting from 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer range, and the shorter wavelengths they have a higher energy. And the shortest one, violet light, is a 400 nanometer light, and this light has the energy of 72 kilocalorie per mole. Well, this energy is strong enough to break silicon bond, but the energy is not strong enough to break carbon bond, but UV may break carbon bond too. That's why they say we need to avoid the exposure to UV for long term. If not, maybe the UV light can destroy our organic molecules on the skin and they can damage us. So this is maybe the reason why the life forms on Earth, we chose carbon as a central material rather than unstable silicon materials. That means maybe on a very far, far away, cold and dark planets, those life forms, they don't have a strong light and the temperature is also low. Maybe more abundant silicon-based life form may be also possible. Well, in the cold planet, maybe the water is frozen, so maybe if they need liquid, then instead of water, they may use nitrogen source, ammonia, as their basic material, and then this kind of the different form of life potentially may be possible.